Yàrá. Ìwà ṣẹ́dùn wò nígbà tí wọ́n ní aṣápẹ́ fún wèrèjó àti wèrè ọ̀gbọ̀gba ni wọ́n. Ohun tẹ́ẹ̀tún mọ́ bá wa dá sí rèé ká tó lọ sábàlá téńté orí ìròyìn lọ́sẹ̀ yìí láti bẹ̀ lọ́pàpá ó ti parada tọ́pẹ́ ètò sì sún lọ sábàlá àlejò níbi tá a ti kúnlẹ̀ tá a ti pàkún láti gbàlejò ọ̀mọ̀wé Adéníyì Lawal olùtọ́jú àwọn tí wọ́n ní ìpèníjà ìsàn ọpọlọ tí wọ́n sì máa fi ìrírí wọn ṣàlàyé lórí kókó ọ̀rọ̀ tá a pè ní ìlòkulò oògùn olóró àtàwọn ewu tó rọ̀ mọ́ láwùjọ wa. Àwọn oògùn wo gan lògùn olóró? Ìjọ oògùn olóró tiẹ̀ wúlò lágọ̀ọ́ ara bí? Débi táwọn kan fi máa lò wọ́n nílòkulò. Kí ló sọ wọ́n di oògùn olóró gan? Àwọn ọ̀nà wo là ń gbà lò wọ́n tí yóò fi di ìlòkulò? Wọ́n tiẹ̀ ní ìlòkulò wọn a máa yí ni lórí. Ṣé lóòótọ́ ni? Ó dáa, àìsàn ọpọlọ tó oògùn olóró bá fà ìjọ ṣe é tọ́jú bí? Ọ̀rọ̀ pọ̀, àkàwé ẹ̀ ló mọ̀ pọ̀. Ẹ̀yẹn ṣàmùwà mórí ètò èyí àrà lọ́jọ́ ìsinmi tó ń bọ̀ láago 6 àárọ̀ sáago 7 fábálà àkọ́kọ́ àti láago 7 àárọ̀ sáago 8 fábálà àlejò níkànnì 98.5 Olúyọ̀lé FM 96.3 Òkè Ògùn FM 92.1 Ajílétí FM lórí tẹlifíṣàn ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ àti lórí ìtàkùn àgbáyé tẹ́rẹ̀ ìdárayá ó sì tún mọ júwe ẹgbẹ̀rún ègé gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹrú go. Èyí àrà bí gbogbo egun bá ń lé ní lóko kì í ṣe bíi ti pákọ̀kọ̀. Ètò èyí àrà dológbòjò bàbá ìgógó fún gbogbo ètò tó kù.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for joining us on this very special edition of Saturday Special right here on the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State. I am Victor Pone. Welcome you right here today. Yes, indeed, there are interesting stories in the dailies, which is where we're going to be starting from this morning, talking about the newspaper segment before we go on to other activities, including the governor's activities, the travelogue, and then we return for the interview segment where we have an interesting conversation this morning as Osun State decides who's going to be the next governor, or if the running governor will stay in that seat. But of course, I'm starting with the Nation newspaper right here this morning, and the biggest story, as usual, as expected, is Osun election. It's APC's Oyebamiji versus Adeleke. ADC orders are fringe players. Election must be free and fair, says Tinubu. APC raises the alarm over plots to disrupt election in 2 local governments, and we have a police retirement ban on Amotekun, non-state actors. PDP not part of governorship elections, says INEC. All of the stories are found on pages 5, 6, and 21. And of course, the faces of the top 3 candidates are plastered on the front page of the Nation newspaper. We have Ademola Adeleke of the Accord Party, the incumbent governor and the former senator from 2017 to 2019 at the age of 66 is still contesting. Bola Oyebamiji of the APC, former banker and two-time finance commissioner, and of course he is aged 60. Rajim Salam of the ADC, former speaker, Osun State House of Assembly, holds a PhD in political science and is aged 61. Those are the top 3 candidates as we have called from reports and what we have on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Well, interesting stories are still all over this paper. Police arrest suspects over alleged plot to kidnap bishops' wives in Plateau. And yes, the police have nabbed 6 suspected kidnappers and dismantled an hideout in Kaduna. And of course, this story is on page 3. On page 29, NUPRC knows swap of petroleum to deepen domestic supply. 2027, Article 5 suits to disqualify Tinubu over NYSC certificate. On page 2, 19-year-old bride allegedly poisons husband 6 weeks after wedding. And that's an interesting development. Federal government here marks 33,000 hectares for livestock investments livestock settlements in FCT on page 27, and they've made moves to end cattle roaming in Abuja. All right, flipping on to what we have on the inside pages of the paper. Where Omo Agege alleges attack on convoy in Delta. The 6 NDC members injured. And it says incident, assassination attempts, 6 investigation, prosecution. Police unaware of alleged attack on former DSP, says a spokesperson. And on page 3, EFCC arraigns man over alleged 56.49 million Hajj fraud in Ibadan. Man arrested for allegedly beheading lover in Adamawa hotel room. Son, mother arraigned in Kano over alleged plots to kill father. Just the stories right here. Ondo pastor quits Christianity, embraces Ifa, and describes foreign religions as lies. That's interesting. All right, like we told you on pages 4, 5, we have everything about the Osun gubernatorial election. On to what we have right here on page 7, towards a successful Osun poll. And yes, there's a century also on that same page 7. Osun takes stand in desperation at election times. Okay. Inside the killing field called Idera Market, gang behind killings, rape uncovered. I have tried to stop frequent killings, fleeing mastermind, says Yaloja. Market leader not cooperating with police, says DPO. And that's what we have on Weekend Live on page 11. More stories. On page 12, our collapsed Nasara school building killed 10-year-old pupil on last day of academic session. And that's a story about the collapsed structure built with substandard materials 19 years ago. The bereaved father alleges. And my son's ambition was to become medical doctor, says a distraught mom. That's interesting. Interesting. Well, over to page 16, down to page 17. Interesting stories on sports right here. Talk about play. Chelsea target fresh start after years of disappointment. Liverpool sell minority stake to Jeff Bezos consortium. Maresca Koi on Rodri's future ahead of Community Shield. Barca chase historic third successive title as Mourinho's Madrid plots revenge. Aspirant Shodanke shares one vision for NFF. Carrick says to build on Manchester United's revival. Iraola aiming to reignite Liverpool challenge. Japan's Tomiyasu joins Crystal Palace and the Community Shield. Ateta chases hat-trick of penalty glory against Manchester City. Well, on page 19, Saturday Politics, and it's Osun 2026 referendum on Adelike's borrowed structure. Okay, on 2027, why Middle Belt holds key to Adebayo's presidential bid. And on page 21, from that is Shoki, Afrobeats didn't replace Galala, it grew from it. That's an interesting one from Daddy Shoki, was saying today's music still traces back to the foundation that he and others laid. On page 23, smuggling thrives because of fixation with foreign goods, says the customs controller, Kaila, says hostile weather nearly forced him to abandon career. Okay, more. On page 26, President hails Abubakar's appointment as a SEPI CEO. INEC fixes September 19 for 5 legislative by-elections. And First Lady seeks second chance education for girls. Commissions renovated a Lagos school. Troops rescued 9 kidnapped victims and 4 terrorist attacks in Niger. And on page 27, federal government earmarks 33,000 hectares for livestock settlements in FCT. 2027, G100 reschedules opposition parties summit over peace conference clash. 19 suspected crude oil thieves docked in Akwa Ibom. And there's also the story about Lagos technocrats set to upskill 1,000 teachers in statewide initiative. Okay, we have on page 30, insecurity, Kogi, Edo police chiefs in joint patrol as security operatives rescued 9 kidnap victims right there. And police nabbed 6 suspected drug dealers in Anambra, recover army uniform and drugs. Now to Sports Extra on page 31. Galatasaray open window for Osimhen's transfer to Arsenal. NFF boss Gusel under pressure to step down after Super Falcons World Cup exit. Super Falcons no longer invincible, says Ajibade. And West Half appeals to Tinubu over unsafe Abuja house. And Rashford in Man United scored for AC Milan friendly. And also a story about the late Katsina United player who passed on after slumping on the pitch just a few days back. It is Good Night Chinedu Ozo right there, and that is quite a sad one. We hope that God continues to grant his family the fortitude to bear that loss. But that is as much as I have on the Nation newspaper this morning. Over to you now, Fumbi.
All right, thank you so much, Victor. And yeah, I have the Saturday Tribune with me on the front page. Of course, the much-awaited election, it's finally the D-Day, and we have stories on that on page 3. It says, Osun poll, Tinubu demands credible election as police deploy 32 CPs, 36 DCPs, 51 ACPs. And the writer says, President says, outcome must reflect people's will, tasks INEC to use poll as test case for 2027. 15,000 rank and file deployed as security operatives screen vehicle frisk residents. Accord alleges coordinated attacks, says 15 members killed. APC raises alarm over alleged mobilization of thugs at government house. Appeal court judgment on PDP won't affect today's election. And that's coming from INEC. That story is on page 6. And of course, we have a picture of hundreds of policemen in Osogbo yesterday. More stories. Our code for human hearts is tomato, flesh is bread, and hands are fans. Suspects will harvest human parts from corpses review. Victor, that's a serious, when you say your codes for human hearts, tomato, so you just say tomato and then they understand. You say bread, then they know you're talking about the flesh. And then you say fans, they know you're talking about the hands. That's disheartening. That story is on page 10. On page 7, 19-year-old housewife arrested for allegedly poisoning husband 14 days after marriage.
I saw that story and it was, I don't know what led to it.
I think 2 days now.
But then, I don't know. I don't know what led to it. And maybe it's because I feel the lady wasn't mature enough for marriage, amongst other things. I think it's just one of the things.
I think I would want to agree with you on that. And of course, there might also be a lot of issues before.
Yeah, I think
there might have been a lot of issues in the line years.
Definitely from what we've seen.
What if she was forced to get married to the person?
There's so much actually to think about. And I think you should do the proper investigation. And maybe individuals who are, looking at this should learn lessons who are involved in all of this.
All right, more stories on page 20. Again, Enugu busts criminal syndicates, police all in 14 kidnapped suspects. Recover 5 AK-47 rifles, 2 pump-action rifles, and ammunition. Gunmen abduct 14 passengers in Benue. Police rescue 5, and that story is on page 5. And lastly, on the front page of Saturday Tribune, we have a story on page 26. Atiku asks Federal High Court. Tinubu, Bola Adekunle, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, same person, says President submitted forged NYC certificate to INEC. And Atiku saying, I have sworn to my case before the law. I am prepared to be held accountable for what I have placed before the court. President Tinubu should equally be prepared to answer the case against him before the law. And that's coming from that Tinubu versus Atiku right there. And that's what we have on the front page of Saturday Tribune, taking some of the inside stories. On page 3, of course, we have the Osun poll, the president demanding credible election as police deploy 32 CPs, 36 DCPs, and 51 ACPs. And when we have this huge amount of police officers deployed to Osun State, to one state for an election, what would happen during the general elections next year?
Osun is a very, very, how do I put it? I don't want to use the word crazy, but when it comes to elections, it goes somehow. The desperation on display by many parties and all that, and the way a lot of people take different things to desperate levels is always somehow for me. But I just long for a day that we would hold elections in Nigeria and it will be a regular work day where someone just goes to cast his votes, no need for security men to always be around and all that. Or for a day where we know the polling booths and then we just walk over there, cast our votes and go and then wait for the results while others are monitoring.
Of course, we really hope to have that day in Nigeria. But we do not have to have a lot of security operatives around you during election day. I mean, it's really alarming when we have 32 commissioners of police in Osun State. 36 DCPs, 51 ACPs.
I hope that we do not hear any negative news.
So when we have this much police personnel, about 15,000 deployed to Osun State, how many do we have in other states guarding those other states today?
Therein lies the problem. We do not have enough security personnel. As we have spoken with analysts, different individuals over time. But then we are stretching the few ones to the limits by taking them all around. And, nobody's thinking about their welfare in conditions like this. It's almost like we just throw them in, just go and do your job and all that when they should be doing their jobs elsewhere.
Oh, I think these are conversations we would have to have during the course of the program later. But let's go on with the newspaper review. More stories on page 3. Don't let political intimidation stop you from voting, CSOs tells Osun voters. A court alleges coordinated attack, says 15 members killed. APC raises alarm over alleged mobilization of thugs at Government House. All stories on Osun on page 3. And on page 5, gunmen abduct 14 passengers in Benue. Police rescue 5. We hope they can rescue the other victims. Abiodun saves Buhari estate from forfeiture, delivers 108 homes. First Lady to commission estate on Tuesday. Life is real, internet is real. Boys urged to build positive identities offline and online. And that story is on page 5. And on the Ask the Doctor page, that's on page 9. Milk from a woman that is not pregnant. Is high blood pressure incurable? My urine is foamy. How to know someone with HIV and HIV/AIDS. Are gallstones dangerous? Is this tuberculosis? How to manage high blood pressure? Are stretch marks harmful? Those are questions on that page that have been answered on page 9. And on page 10, our codes for human heart is tomato, flesh is bread, hands are fans. When you have codes for human body parts this way, if it's just to say that people should be extremely vigilant, and of course a criminal will not let you know they are criminals, so we just hope and pray no one should have to experience this gory ordeal from these inhuman individuals. More stories on page 11 on women, wealth and wills. That lunatic repatriation demand by Looters Republic, and that's on page 11. And on entertainment, St. Janet's children reveal singer's final moment. She complained of chest pain, difficulty in breathing, and that's coming from children. Tokpe Oshoba's burial postponed indefinitely as family seeks clarity. Brother Shaggy breaks silence after a month away from social media. I mean, we hope he's all right, he's doing well. More on entertainment, Funke Akindele, K1, others celebrate Lateef Mobimpe's triplets. Web TV to broadcast blockbuster Indian series Rajo. Federal government backs Nigeria Fashion Week 2026, targets investment, job creation. Omotola Jalade Ekende's daughter announces engagement. Mr. P's I love you because sparks reaction. And that's all we have on entertainment. Moving on to weekend Lagos, how Lagos police doused insecurity fears, false banditry alarms among residents. Youth empowerment remains the best weapon against insecurity, and that's coming from an ADC candidate. That story is on page 17. Success in business comes from defining data before falling in love with ideas, and that's coming from a business consultant. That story is on page 19. History is more than dates. It's about consequences that shape people and nations. And that's coming from Uchenna Ignatius from Adeleke University's History and International Studies first class graduates. More stories on page 29. Wike-backed PDP explains why it has no candidate in Osun poll. Says appeal court judgment not about leadership crisis. And that's all we have on page 29 and on the back page, where we have some sports stories. Can Chiwinga sisters lead Malawi to AFCON glory? Barca set 80 million euro Rodri transfer deadline. Saka, Timber train ahead. Community Shield. I can't wait to work with Mourinho, says Bellingham. Manchester United need Osimhen, says Evra. WAFCON debacle, I'm not afraid of sack, and that's coming from Madugu. 3SC name Salisu Yusuf, new technical advisor.
Yeah, it's it's been interesting. The news about Shooting Stars in recent days, the sacking of the mutual, parting of ways of the former gaffer with the new one, and then he subsequently went on air and everything. But then Salisu Yusuf, a lot of people have mixed feelings about it because of some of the incidents that happened in time past involving him. But make no mistake, he's coming with a very wide variety of experience. He has coached at some of the biggest club sides in Nigerian football. Talk about Enyimba, Rangers International, among several others. He was also assistant, and he led the home-based Eagles at some point. So some people say the experience counts. Some people feel like they want someone younger, stuff like that. But it is football. The results will speak for him.
Well, we are all waiting to watch how he performs. And lastly, on the back page, on page 31, as NFF set up committee to probe Falcons' failure. And that's all we have on Saturday Tribune this morning. Talking of the newspaper review, it's time to see what the governor was up to during the week. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
The Oyo State Governor, Engineer Seyi Makinde, on Monday hosted Muslim Ummah, traditional rulers, government officials, and Islamic clerics from across the state in celebration of the 1448 Hijra Islamic calendar, which commemorates the historic migration of the Holy Prophet Muhammad from Mecca to Medina. In his address, Governor Makinde said if his party political candidates are given the opportunity to serve, they will be accountable to the people of Oyo State and not to him, stressing that leadership should be based on responsibility and service to the people rather than allegiance to an individual political figure. Governor Makinde said that despite commencing his annual leave on the day of the Hijra celebration, he could not afford to miss the opportunity to appreciate the Muslim community in Oyo State for its continued support for his administration since its inception, while charging residents to demand clear plans and commitment from anyone seeking to govern the state. The governor urged them to focus on programs that will promote development, peace, and prosperity. He also challenged his political opponents to tell the people of Oyo State what they intend to do if elected, rather than attempting to discredit the achievements of his administration.
And I promise you, you will do for everybody. You will do as we promise of our. There are too many opportunities where I can do to be responsible to the people of the State. I will forever be grateful for this opportunity that has been given to me to serve the people of the State for 8 years. which is almost 91% of this.
In his welcome address, the Allied People's Movement's APM, Oyo State Deputy Governorship candidate, Engineer Muftau Opon Salau, appreciated the Muslim Ummah in the state for their continued support for the present administration. He pledged that the APM will sustain and expand developmental initiatives across the state if given the opportunity to serve. The chairman of the occasion, the Balogun of Ogbomoso, Dr. Saka Balogun, expressed optimism that Governor Makinde will continue his good works for the people of the state until the end of his tenure. He also called on residents to support APM candidates in the forthcoming elections. In separate goodwill messages, Imam Dawood Alawiye, a representative of the Nigeria Union of Teachers NUT, the APM Oyo State Governorship candidates, Honorable Bimbo Adekambi, Dr. Adams Akeula, and the Secretary to the State Government, Professor Musba Babatude, described the governor as an outstanding leader whose administration has positively transformed the fortunes of the state. Honorable Adekambi, in particular, pledged to build on the legacies and achievements of Governor Makinde if given the opportunity to serve as the next governor of the state. In his short sermon, the chief imam of Dawood Olawore Central Mosque, Iwo Road, Ibadan, also eulogized Governor Makinde, highlighting 6 notable attributes which he said have distinguished the governor's leadership. A major highlight of the event was the presentation of gift items to some outstanding personalities in recognition of their contributions to the development of the state. Governor Makinde also pledged to present a brand new car to the guest lecturer at the occasion. The chairman of the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, BCOS, Chief Dotun Olaitan, was among the dignitaries who graced the event. The Oyo State Acting Governor, Barrister Bayalawan, was among dignitaries who attended the 305th inaugural lecture of the University of Ilorin, delivered by Professor Miriam Abdurrahim Mustafa of Department of Public Law. The lecture held at the University Auditorium was titled Children in the Cage, Justice on Trial. Speaking with BCOS names shortly after the event, Barrister Lawal stressed the need for a justice system that does not merely punish children for their actions, but also protect their welfare, rehabilitate them, and provide them with opportunities to become responsible members of the society. He commended Professor Abdurrahim Mustafa for the depth of her presentation, describing the lecture as relevant to the protection and rehabilitation of children who come into conflict with the law.
There's a gap between welfare of children and where the law places them. And this lecture, attempts to close that gap in the sense that we must not look at deficiencies of children only by what the law prescribes, but what we should do to enhance good living of our children by providing law that will protect their welfare, even where they probably go wrong. The law should direct positively so that they will live a meaningful life.
The acting governor also urged how to further strengthen a foundation dedicated to caring for vulnerable children, saying such efforts will help them overcome their challenges and live meaningful lives despite their shortcomings or conflicts with the law.
She has founded a foundation taking care of children and vulnerable children at that. So she can only pursue along that trajectory so that our children would have meaningful life in spite of a deficiency in the law. That will complement positively so that the living standard of our children, both in law and social living, will be better.
And in our lecture, Professor Miriam Abdurrahim Mustafa stressed that children who came into conflict with law should be held accountable in manner that recognizes their vulnerability, developmental stage, and need for protection, rather than being subjected to the same justice system designed for adults.
No child should be detained with adults. Let legislation and enable age determination will become justice priorities. Schools, religious bodies, traditional institutions, NGOs, and professional associations should place local protection and reintegration methods. Nigeria should establish a national child justice database, tracking arrest, detention, diversion, child delay, release, and reoffending.
She, however, called for a uniform and child-centered justice system across Nigeria, with the Child Rights Act harmonized and minimum protections guaranteed in every state. On the entourage of the acting governor, while the State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Oluwaserini Ajetumobi, Commissioner for Trade, Industry, Investment and Cooperatives, Professor Saliu Adelabu, Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Inclusion, Alhaja Fausat Jokesani. Also present was Alipata of Igbo land, Obajuel Olawu.
It's your 100%
Babes, are you sure you want to spend this much on hair? Didn't your landlord just increase rent? I saved for this one separately on money points.
No. You say you save on money points? Yes. This madam money points here, the array of Yadrea there is target savings money points I used to have it. The rest of this my sub is this savings money points I used to do it. The salary of this my staff is save as you transact.
Jennifer, money point save as you transact. Money point fixed savings and money point target savings.
What's up? Why did I tell you to contribute to it? Right today. Come on, oh, you go give your money to Hadaku to save. You see money point accounts there. You know, go open a savings account. Now Hadaku you shoot. I beg everybody inside this my saloon. Oh, you bring out your phone and download the money point app now. Even you. What are you waiting for?
Download the Money Point banking app now and start saving with a bank you can trust.
Money Point, made for your progress.
All right, thanks to Lale Consulaman for compiling that particular report of the governor's activities through the course of the week. Now, you know, we'll have to take you through Travelogue. And right now, we will be staying here in Ibadan.
I like what I'm saying.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Well, if we are going to talk about sports, I'm always excited. So
obviously.
I'm seeing the history of Adamasingba Stadium is what we want to delve into.
Yes, indeed.
So I think we'll just take ourselves on that jolly good cruise to see how everything has been.
Straight to Adamasingba Stadium.
Arguably, one of the bubblest areas in Ibadan presently is Adamasingba, where the recently remodeled Lekan Salami Stadium is situated. The area on Wednesday played host to dignitaries from various parts of Nigeria, including former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, former Military Governor of Old Oyo State, retired Major General David Jemi Bemo, Ondo State Governor Arakunrin Rotimi Akeredolu, and his counterpart from Edo, Godwin Obaseki. The event also had in attendance ex-international sports journalists, sports administrators, chieftains, as well as members of the ruling party in Oyo State, the People's Democratic Party. They, alongside their host, Governor Seyi Makinde, all came to grace the commissioning of the remodeled Lekan Salami Stadium. The construction of the stadium being celebrated today was initiated by and commenced in 1976 by the military administration of retired General David Jemibewon. It was commissioned in 1988 by the military administration under Colonel Sasha Inion Oresanya retired.
For what he has done in that Adamas, I think it's great, because when I got there at night, honestly, I was impressed. I have not been in Ibadan maybe in the last probably more than 5 years. And when I saw it, not because I knew Ibadan very well, or I know Ibadan very well, and I know this stadium, I probably would have asked, where is this place? So I think he has great ideas.
The commissioning ceremony featured a friendly game between 3SC and El Kanemi Warriors of Maiduguri. The Ballet of Ikotedo, where the stadium site is situated, Edataye Ayorinde recalled that the place where the stadium presently stands used to be a race course.
Adamasiba was very popular for this horse race because the people that were involved were big people who own horses. People like Chiva Kiloye, Egujemi. He was damaging Badanti Jakiloye, which means he was very powerful and popular. There are soirees and people from the north, they bring their horses here for competition. My parents bought this area in 1932, and my father made that road in 1934 with the help of the father of Mrs. Justice Mrs. Igeni Oloko. So these are the kind of people you find around Adamasiba. You also have SL Josharo's building demolished at the end of Adamasiba there.
Eda Yorinde, while going down memory lane, explains how Adamasiba came to be known by the name it bears till today.
One thing I got to know is why was it called Adamasiba? Because this place was used to be filled with ireke, sugar cane and mud. And there's this member of the federal or Oyibo Ajele from Lagos that was stationed there, who had been teaching people how to use clays to make money. Entrepreneurship in clay, molding and pots and fingerings, all sorts of things. But you expect that man that is teaching people to make money for training people, he never got anything. It used to be free training. That's Adamasiba. The original meaning is when you owe money and you use your child or your cousin to stay with the lender for a time till your money is finished. But this man was so popular. That's Adamasiba for you. And now, look at Adamasiba.
Adamasiba area, which is very close to Sabo, the settlement of settlers from northern Nigeria, is renowned as recreation center. Aside Lekon Salami Stadium, Africa's oldest recreation club, the Ibadan Recreation Club, and Ibadan Golf Club are also situated in the area. The Lekon Salami Stadium, which used to be known as Adamasiba Sports Complex, was renamed after the football-loving chairman of IICC, Shooting Stars, now 3SC, Chief Lekon Salami, who led IICC to become Nigeria's first club to win a continental trophy in 1976. The highly knowledgeable Ballet of Ekotadu enumerated the benefits of the remodeling of the stadium.
Adamasiba now, for me, is an edifice that's worth acclaiming as a world class. How has it come about? It has been the innovation of a governor that is masterly with words. innovation of a governor that is a workaholic, silent workaholic. Innovation of a man that God had ordained to be the governor. Because I was around when, in a church service, that was 6.5 years ago, when we went to the same church, and the church said they were looking for a young man who would ride camel to Jerusalem. Among the 10-year-olds, he was the winner. He has gotten to his Jerusalem now.
When they commended Governor Seyi Makinde for upgrading the stadium, saying that his action will further transform the area, which used to be referred as Ibadan-led city. Tupe Feintola, BCOS News.
The home is under attack, but not for long, because Hypo is here. Dirty floors and surfaces.
Not on our watch.
Dirty and stains, no be do a shakara. We got the remedy, original palasa. Hypo, go hypo.
Germs always find a way back.
No green. Protect every day with Hypo.
Hypo, go hypo.
Under attack, but not for long, because Hypo is here. Dirty floors and surfaces.
Not on our watch.
Dirty and stains, no be do a shakara. We got the remedy, original palasa. Hypo, go hypo.
Germs always find a way back.
No green. Protect every day with Hypo.
Hypo, go hypo.
Under attack, but not for long, because Hypo is here. Dirty floors and surfaces.
Not on our watch.
Dirty and stains, no be do a shakara. We got the remedy, original palasa. Hypo, go hypo.
Germs always find a way back.
No green. Protect every day with Hypo.
Wetin call car dey do inside freezer? E dey take breeze? You dey learn work? You know just say if you freeze am, e go dey reach small small. See this one.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Yes, during the course of the interview segment, we mentioned that we will be delving deep into the Osun gubernatorial election. Of course, today is the D-Day, August 15, and a lot has played out in Osun State for the past few months. Of course, it got intense a few weeks ago, and it's been battle. A lot of death were recorded. I think over 27 people were recorded to have been dead or killed in the course of this election, the campaign processes, and of course, the back and forth from all political parties. We also saw a peace accord signed, and a particular candidate from a particular political party was absent. Well, not really absent during the peace accord, decided to show up, sent a representative at the end of the signing. Does that still hold? But we still saw a lot of violence happened after the peace accord. The governor also come out, the state governor, Osun State Governor, Governor Ademola Adeleke also come out to talk about how the victimization from the current federal administration, the hold on the state, and of course how a lot of trouble just kept emanating from Osun State in the course of this election. Yesterday, the president also called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and security agencies to ensure a peaceful, transparent, and credible governorship election in Osun State. Now, the question is, are we really going to see a peaceful, transparent, and credible election in Oyo State? And that's why we are all watching. We are all waiting to see what happens, what played out in Osun State.
We're actually viewing our eyes from Osogbo to
yes, we have some hot spots. During the course of the program, we'll be mentioning those hot spots, and of course, we'll have to see if we can get someone in Osun State who will be giving us an on-the-spot feedback assessment on what is happening in Osun State. To do justice to this conversation this morning, we have two legal practitioners, or I would say two legal bigwigs in the house. To do justice, we have Mr. Adebimpe Adelowo Esquire. Good morning, sir. Good morning. It's good to have you. And of course, we have our own Mr. Sharafaddin Sani. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
It's always a pleasure to have you gentlemen in the studio to talk about, especially when we have to talk about politics, legal aspect of it, and of course the law. Looking at what is playing out in Osun State, and let's piggyback a little before we talk about what has been happening in the past few days. From the inception and how it has been playing out, what do you have to say about the much contested, I would say the much contested election so far, currently in Nigeria? Mr. Sharafaddin.
Well, the election process in Nigeria has always been fair. When I say fair, not saying it is really too good or damn too bad. But fair in the sense that, yes, it is better off than military era. At least some few people can come out and vote. And at the end of the day, we select some few people to take care of our administration. And after spending 4 years, they go back again to go and beg for a vote again. Though, within the first 4 years, they may not be able to show anything tangible for the what they've been able to, for the period they spent within the corridor of power. But my concern, I think we are shifting too much. We are putting too much hope on the politician vis-a-vis the service delivery, our expectation from them. I think we still, no matter how bad it is, we still have this check in our hand. We still have this weapon in our hands to teach them a lesson or to correct their wrongs when after spending about 4 years and we discover that they did not perform. And that's our vote. And that's our vote on one side. On the other side, I think it is our primary duty to look into our security system ourselves as individuals and voters before putting that responsibility on the government. Why am I saying this? We have, currently in Nigeria, I think we have one policeman to about 15 or 50 people, 100 people. And if you are to assess it very well, the spirit of policing, we have one responsible and effective policeman to every 300 people. Do you get the logic now? If you have to count by numbers, we have one policeman to about 10 to 12 to 15 people. But if you are to look for a responsible and effective policeman, that means 1 to every 300 people. If you get the logic, you get it. But as time goes on, we all know what I mean by that. A policeman or a security agent that will not trade off his duty for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 naira to allow a criminal, a suspect to perpetrate whatever act he want to do. So if we get that right, we get that right. If we take the issue of policing into our hands, we will know that these politicians we are talking about that are inciting or instigating violence will never call any of their children or their grandchildren to come out and do this. And what do they have to offer us? The least what they can give them is they give them 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, maximum of 5,000 naira. Then you give them guns, you give them all sorts of harmful leather weapons to go and attack somebody in your own neighborhood. Somebody that you guys work together, you live together, you once eat together. But because of nomenclature, political nomenclature, this AA, BB, CC, DD, you're able to polarize yourself. And somebody that wants to go and sit down there will now come and take you and give you 10,000. And meanwhile, his children, ask most of these people we're talking about, the contestants, where are their children? They didn't come home, some of them are abroad. They didn't come home to come and vote for their father. They didn't come home for the election. They didn't come home for the campaign. They didn't come home for the mobilization. But they are calling the people within the neighborhood to come and see. It is when you take it to yourself that I am my brother's keeper. Myself and this guy grew up together. We've done so many things together. We are living together. This person will come and go after 4 years. Even within 2 years, 1 year, they will realign again. Somebody from BB, CC, DD will come and join somebody from AA, BB. They will realign for their own pocket and their own stomach and their own brain and their own children's future. They'll still leave you there. So it is when the voters or everybody on the street learn how to take your as your brother's keeper. You look at it, you see the human being, you see the God creation in them. You don't see ordinary body walking around whom I can easily strike with an object and kill because of somebody. It's when you take that steps into our heart, security steps into our heart, that is when we assist the government. We make the job much easier and we make the electoral process much easier.
All right, thank you very much for actually passing that message. I think a lot more people will get to understand what you're talking about from the point of view which you have started. I'm going to you now, and I need to understand something. We have more than 2.3 million registered voters. Out of that number, 1.91 thereabouts million collected PVCs. We still have others who have not collected theirs. But the question, in the sight of all those things that we have seen, we are talking about voter apathy. There are fears that people will not come outside to vote. What are the expectations today, given what we have seen already? And how can we get people out to vote? Because it's starting in a couple of minutes now, according to the timetable that INEC released.
Thank you so much. And I want to also appreciate my brother. He has said a mouthful of a lot of admonition to the generality of our people, and that is so important. Whatever we see today is as a result of our attitude towards the politics, towards the governance, towards what have you. Historically, elections in Osun State is either by violence or somebody emerged through court. You remember? During the Unilola and Aregbe first emerged as winner from court of law. Thereafter, it has become violent. Remember that at the second time of Aregbe, before the Aregbe, was it Aregbe? No. After the end of Aregbe's tenure, when Oyetola wanted to come on board, I think the election was inconclusive, through a lot of violence, and thereafter I think about 370 something votes nullified. And that what made difference, that returned Oyetola as governor. In 2022, similar thing occurred, and that is when this man Ademola came on board. It was violent or true, and similar scenario is now playing out now, and we have seen. In fact, that one has already even graduated from what we knew before. Now, several people have been killed, several property have been destroyed, and a lot of things like that. And when you look at the situation, apart from PVC, apart from numbers of registered voters, PVC collected, so definitely what we are expecting. Let's look at it, the data of Osun from the period of Aregbe to date. How many people registered in Osun to vote? How many PVC collected? Then how many people eventually came out to vote? I don't know. The last time, I don't know whether they are up to 500 or 600 thereabouts. So similar thing will repeat today. Not because people do not want to come out to vote, but the attitude of politicians.
You think people feel they will not be safe?
Of course.
If or when they come out to vote?
Of course. At the eve of election, several attacks, and then many arms are being recovered, and no dirty step are being taken by rightful authority, at least to nip the things in the bud.
Mr. Adela, when we see elections like this, a contentious election like this, and we ask ourselves, is it a war zone? Why do we have to go through this much fear, this much anxiety, because we want to go out to exercise our rights as citizens? Is it a war zone? Does it have to be, do we have to live in fear when going for election, or when election periods are getting closer in Nigeria, or during election period?
My brother mentioned it the other time, the politicians. The politicians. Let me quickly say this. Politics in Nigeria is a business, and it's do or die affair. Because that is where many people make their money, through violence. I want to say that the violence, let me say, we have another industry now, apart from kidnapping industry.
What is the industry?
And that is violence industry.
Violence from which quarters?
From government quarters. You see, the reason why we have several court group regrouping coming out is as a result of the body language and then intentions of the politicians. They are rearing these young men for the purpose of election. Let me cite a good example. Anytime you pass through our road here, our street here in Ibadan, you see several young men that government engaged to collect money from the transporters. How do they behave? They belong to one group or the other. And during the election, they are the set of people that government will unleash. Or individual will unleash.
Let's say governments.
Or let me say individual politician will unleash. They will recruit them. You understand? They have been feeding them. And during the election or when the election is coming like this, you see that they now recruit them for certain purpose. And they are making a lot of money from that industry.
Who and who is making that money?
Well, the young person themselves, young people themselves.
Sure they're making enough money.
And I'm coming. And those people that are recruiting them. That has been the usual practice of the Nigerian politicians.
It's bothersome. Earlier on in the conversation, we were talking about when we will finally, if you remember, when we will finally have a Nigeria where elections will run on a regular day, and after our show can just tag along.
You just walk into an office, walk into a room, a local government.
Vote and then
cast your vote and leave without fear, without
presence.
Then when we make that happen, we are at crossroad now. Any decision making is now borders on the individual that we've elected, so-called elected to our various legislative houses, to make changes into our law, our policies that will help us have saner election processes. But yet, individuals that got to these legislative houses, got to these legislative through these means, this process, fought bias, unleashing violence on the people. How do you now expect them to make rightful law?
Just in recent times, we were starting to have a feeling like the violence was decreasing across Nigeria, if you look at the spate that we had way before. And, right now, we have a lot of happenings, but let's look at some of those candidates. Right now, it's like we have a top 3 that are gunning, but some people believe it's just top 2. Now, we have the incumbent governor, Ademola Adeleke of Accord. He was a former senator between 2017 and 2019. He's 66 years of age. We have Bola Oyebamiji, who many believe is the strongest opposition to him now. APC, he was an ex-banker and then 2-time finance commissioner, 60 years of age. And the third name is there. I do not know if a lot of people have batted too much highly towards him. Najim Salam of the ADC, a former speaker of the Osun State House of Assembly, 61 years of age. All 3, 60 and above. All 3 have past history serving in different capacities. And here they are jostling for this position. What exactly is happening when it comes to, because I've seen a number of people say they have, broken down their own structure and they are behind this man or behind that man.
Let me take that one. Thank you very much. See, you just said it all now. But I discovered that you are trying to parry off some area to help us. Let's ask ourselves. Out of these 3 main, I think it's about 15 political parties that put in, we are talking about the 3 musketeers. That's what I call them. What is new about them? Nothing. They at one time or the other walk within the corridor of power. They give out what they think they can give out. question we need to do ask ourselves is assessment. The enlightened ones among us, the educated ones among us. We have so many of them. Assessment. Who has been faithfully and effectively delivered when he was serving. Let us take Ademola Adeleke. Ademola Adeleke, yes, served Osun State, not as representative to the past 4 years. Let us ask ourselves, has he been able to deliver? If not, yes, he had issue of local government at the initial stage. He also had this crisis wherein his administration brought in somebody to review the civil service systems and the issue of ghost worker. And they discovered, I think about 15,000 ghost or thereabouts, where some few people are, what is 15,000? Where some people are collecting lots and lots of money. When the woman threatened to expose, he said the woman pack it, and they refused to give him his money. But he said, so somebody is collecting, one person collecting over 1,000 salary, and they're able to pay it out. That is a leakage which we believe need to be blocked. But the question is this: they overruled it, and went away and sent the woman packing. You brought a particular person to come and assess, to come and take care of the leakage in your system, and when you discovered it, she's not cooperating and blocking it up, you sent such person. What is that sincerity of purpose? That's number one. Number two, I think they're turning the whole, just like what you said, that they've commercialized our political system, political administrative system in Nigeria has been commercialized. I think the Adeleke has commercialized the administration and management of Osun to the Adelekes. The other brother was a governor. And he performed wonderfully well. He was well loved by people. The senator again coming in again. He said, there has been on the ground information that come. The main governor is also his elder brother, not this man sitting down there. It's just an investment. That is that on that. Let us go to Ambo. When I was listening to Ambo the other time, he talked about how the investment can be in Osun State, how he handled it, how he invested so much, how he has been able to do this, how he has been able to do that, how he has been able to... This question we need to ask ourselves is this. Ambo is coming under Oyetola. How did or was Oyetola sent out of system by the people of Osun State? Comparing the administration of Oyetola and Adeleke, they had the period of Oyetola, they had the period of Adeleke, Osun people. It is left to them to look at how their resources have been managed in the past years. Who is going to save the system? Nigeria. I listened to his manifestos and I looked at it. His case is like, I don't want to be particular, but a group of people who believe Nigeria can be saved, or a state or whatever can be saved within 2 years, 3 years.
Is it not possible?
It's not possible. Let us be realistic, it's not possible.
To do that within 2 years?
Within 4 years. My brother, this system is so much rotten. And when you are talking about Nigeria is not your household, your family that you can easily.
So how long does it take to fix Nigeria?
Let me now tell you something. Ask yourself, if you look into the economic structure of Nigeria, economic system, they said planning, economic planning. And economic planning takes 10 years.
10 years.
Basics. Planning, economic planning, 10 years. It's there. We just decide to take our eyes off.
10 years of consistency.
Consistency. We just decide to take our eyes off the basics. And we are destroying the system. Economic plan, PDP spends about 18 years in the system. 18 years, if I am correct. 18 years. That is above the 10 years of the economic plan. Where are your blueprints? Where are the things you want? We have succeeded in spending our money on political jamboree than developing Nigeria. Let me give you one instance that you'll be much surprised about. Insecurity, kidnapping and banditry. At the initial stage, the past administration started spending money on buying equipment, giving contracts to people out. You see top men, big men sitting on security systems of Nigerian Army, Nigerian Army, and you discovered when they leave, not even Nigerian police, how much money they've been able to make for themselves when they were serving. You ask yourself, at the detriment of the boys' underused life. You buy vehicles that are not well functioning, you buy unserviceable equipment, the guns and the rest, and you give it to this boy to go there, and they were just killing our boys anyhow. But now, let us look at the Orire. How Orire issue was taken care of. You brought in an intelligent man. Kudos to the former GOC of 2D Nigeria. Kudos to that man and every other security network that worked with him. What he did was just this: I can't do this alone. Let us use GIA, DSS, and even local hunters. These local hunters know the field work, they know the grounds work, they have the intelligence better off than you. Yes, what you don't need to do is bring the equipment for the air raid and air surveillance. These hunters know every road that leads to every corner, and they have intelligence and they can read tracks. They did so little of that, and what they also did is this. Okay, fine. If you believe you can take our people and be punished and be asking for money, don't worry. They went ahead and arrested all their relatives and brought them in. You kill one, you kill one. If you are a human being, that is local intelligence. You know you are not going into Mother Nature. Or not, you kill my own, I kill your own. We are not going to give you anything. When the pressure was too much, we are able to get results. And you also observe that there has been downslope of this kidnapping in the recent times. Because they decide to go back to the root, go back to the basics. And that thing is reducing. The next thing we need to do is in politics to reduce most of these violent, listen, we don't have enough police to take care of our security system. What we need to do is go back to the roots and talk to people. Let them realize that these people sitting up there, one, they succeeded in taking your money. Your collective resources, the money you are generating for the taxpayers' money, they are spending it to buy vehicle for themselves, spending it to maintain themselves, spending it to send their children to this, spending it on you. They want to do political rally. You see them bringing in 10, 15, 20 governors. These governors will come with their heads. They political leagues. You will shut down the hotel system, shut down the distance system, and it becomes a jamboree because you want to do rally. If you use the investment you put in some of those things, and you use it to take care of people's need, are you telling me that we will not be way forward within the political circle and campaign circle? This is all season election. Look at what happened in Osun State. Look at the volume of money spent on campaign.
If that volume of money is spent on security, the policemen that will come with them, the anti-terrorists will come with all these important dignitaries, put them in the states to take care of every other corners.
I mean, the IGP has said that no escort will be allowed.
What he just said, what IGC said is this local, most of this local quasi-security system, vigilante, Moteco, and this and that. No, we are not going to use them. We are going to use civil defense.
He's saying that even for the VIPs,
yes,
they will not. No escort will go with them.
No escort will go. There will be general. So that is playground for everybody. Beyond the NSDC, civil defense, Nigerian police, and they are the stay off. If they are able to position them around, let me give you this also to show you that the system is working. Before now, when you are distributing ballot boxes, material, a day before election, you'll be hearing of hijack here, hijack there, hijack there, snapping there overnight. Did you hear of any? Because they know very well that the people that were targeting know very well that there's proper arrangement for mobilization and every other thing, that there's adequate security system.
So is this a positive response to our political structure?
Let us get it this way. INEC on the I give kudos to them. Even during the last minute of changing of the SDP, they repeated. Yes. They are proactive. That means INEC has been able to take care of their area. We are left in security. If we name that security, which are the things that has been happening before now, and what will happen today, if you leave security to the government structure alone, we will fail. We have to take security into our own hands. Before you leave your house in the morning, call everybody in the house before you come. If they arrest you and they take you away, me, I don't have, as a father, you tell them, me, I don't have any money to spend on you. The money I have is for you to eat. I don't have any money to spend for any police. If we keep on lecturing our young ones on this issue of security, we will reduce the pressure on the basic security system we have up there. You have a gun, you possess a gun in your house, and somebody gives you money to buy rams or this thing into it, and you put up a gun against yourself. Your brother that you go on somewhere, that you want at a particular time, you've been in one political party or the other. Look at the Nigerian road transport workers in Osun State. They are not divided. Come, let us take care of these security systems within ourselves first. And if we're able to take care of that, we will shame these politicians that are using us against ourselves.
Okay. Now, let me come to you. Let's scrutinize, because we know all the mechanisms. We have seen everything. You have laid them out. We've asked questions. But let's look at the performances of the incumbent governor. What advantages does he have? What are the things that people will look at and say, this man should remain governor in Osun State? Because they're making that decision today. And I think some of them have started right about now.
That's left with the people of Osun State. I'm not living there. I can only read his performance on the newspaper, and based on a lot of information come from individual. You know that apart from the opposition that will be on the pages of newspaper to criticizing even good one, good project, you know that politicians in Nigeria will always be at your nerves. So apart from that, at least when you look around, one will say that maybe he has performed in the area of infrastructure, especially road infrastructure. At least we see numbers of road projects being commissioned here and there, and then beautifications of, for instance, just recent time, he went to Ile-Ife and some other things, fly over here and there. So, that is not enough.
Before we talk about what will be enough, let's go for this commercial break. When we return, we'll talk about what is enough and what still needs to be done for the people of Osun State.
is under attack, but not for long, cause Hypo is here. Dirty floors and surfaces.
Not on our watch.
Every day with Hypo. Dirty and stains no fit do us shakara. We got the remedy, original palasa. Hypo, go Hypo.
Germs always find a way back.
No green. Protect every day with Hypo.
Hypo, go Hypo.
Thank you very much for sticking around with us. We're still talking about the Osun State gubernatorial elections right here with two esquires. And yes, we really require much more analysis from you to understand what will be enough for the people of Osun State to say, continue, or let's look the other way.
Let's leave sentiments apart. No Nigerian government has performed creditably, at least to warrant second chance, whether federal or state.
None at all?
Not at all. Because indices is not in infrastructure, but the infrastructure that had value to average citizens or residents. When you build roads and people are dying of hunger, when you build road, business are closing down. When you build road and then even the civil servant, the workers, their take home could not even sustain them, then it shows that such government has not performed. Because the governance is for people to live a standard life. Where people could not live standard life, and you are saying, oh, you are building all these wide relevant projects here and there, whether coastal road or flyover, you understand? And people could, those things could not sustain the daily living of people. So definitely we have not done, because governance is for people. In Nigeria, governance is for the elite politicians. Palliatives is for the people. It shows that people are dying. That is why we have palliative program. Even the salary, take-home salary, cannot take them home. All those salary wages are still palliative compared to the economy situation. So when we have this economy as bad as this, and we say the government is performing, when we have, because my brother mentioned, in fact, my brother mentioned a lot of things around security. The security itself, you know, it was insecurity. It is insecurity that take away many farmers from the farm. Yes. It is security that closed down so many schools for young children. And we have a government. To the extent that, the government also is incapable of defending its people. In Osun, generally, you see, are there any insecurity there? Do we still have people that still are moving on the road without, let me say young people, graduates, that still roaming about the streets without gainful employed? Those are the questions we need to have to measure the reason why somebody should be voted in or to be voted out.
Well, when we look at these responsibilities that are saddled on our political leaders, but unfortunately most times we see that they are not even carrying out as much as they should, even for the citizens. A few days ago, we were talking about NLC demanding 500,000, or trying to open a conversation of negotiating 500,000 naira or a little below as minimum wage, as the new minimum wage. And there's been a lot of talks about, 500,000 may not be realistic. And some people are also saying that, but, the political leaders, bigwigs, going home with a certain amount of money every month, is that also not draining the economy? So when we have conversations around responsibilities, duties of our political leaders, now, who are those that will enforce it? But before we go into that, because I know you are laughing, I know these are conversations we've been having over time, but it feels like as much as we all seem to have one answer or two or several answers to this, enforcement has been the major challenge. But before we continue with that conversation, in 5 minutes, election will commence in Osun State. It's supposed to commence by 8:30, and of course, the polling both units would close at 2:30 p.m. So before it commences in the next 5 minutes, let's look at the progression of voters in Osun State, the voter turnout, how it has been like for years back. But before that, we have 30 local government areas in Osun State. We have 2,339,233 registered voters currently. And of course, the population in Osun State is 3,416,959 people currently in Osun State. And for those who collected their PVC, 81.50% of the 2 million, which is a good number. Of course, a good number of people who have collected their PVC. Talk of the number of polling units. We have 3,763 polling units and 332 wards in Osun State currently where election would be holding. And when we look at the progression, that's the voter turnout, starting with 2014 governorship election, we had about 53.3% turnout. In 2018, we had 45.6%, a little decline. In 2022 governorship election, we had 42.2%, another decline. Now, looking at the 2023 presidential election in Osun State, we had 38.7%. That was a huge decline also. And now, in 2026, what are we supposed to expect? There's been speculation that maybe about 42% or about 40% are about to come out to vote. But what do you think the turnout will be in this election? Looking at the number of people that registered, the 80%, over 80% that collected PVCs, what do you expect? Looking at the trajectory of the voter turnout, what do you expect to see in this election, in the next, which we could commence in the next 3 minutes, Mr. Sharpadi?
Thank you very much, sir. With your analysis, take 10% off from that 81 point something percent of the people that collected their registered vote. 1.5%. Take 10% off. 10% in the sense that there will be migration. There will be death. Migrations and death. So that will take 5%. Thereabout, so you have 71%. Now, looking at the level of attack in the recent times and intimidation, take 10% off or take 20% off. You are left with about 50% that will come out and vote. Now, that 50% that will come out and vote are the people that really want to come out and vote. But some people just look at it. What have they been able to, or what have they done? That's the educated ones. What have they done to warrant me leaving my house to come and vote for these people, and with this level of these harassments and the rest? Take 7% off. You are left with 43%. Now, go and fast check it. You have from 43 to 45% this time around in the election. That is that on that. Now, you ask a question the other time, which may affect voters' apathy.
Before you go into, elaborate on that, I think we need to pay, some bills right now, and then we'll come back so that you can elaborate a lot more on that conversation. Thank you.
Prospective voters are waiting for the INEC officials to come this morning.
Thank you very much for staying with us. I was just saw the video, of course, just a few minutes ago in Osun State, the preparation and how INEC staff and ad hoc staff members also are getting ready to make sure election commences or voting commence. And I'm sure it's any moment from now, of course, residents will begin to cast their vote. We'll have to go back to Osun State. But before that, Mr. Mr. Sharafadin, you were talking about voter apathy. Looking at the turnout, the number of people expected to turn out during today's election, and you also mentioned voter apathy, the reasons that might hinder people from coming out to vote today.
Thank you very much. From the last 42 point something you have at the last election, you see a little bit of uprising to 43, 44, 45.
Yeah.
The reason is this. At the last election, there was this high complaint on people that INEC was not able to provide this at the right time. They were not able to mobilize this at the right time. So some people get to the voting booth, voting unit, and they left back again. That goes a long way in the introduction of 5 day, 10 day basic for every polling unit you have there. Also, in addition to this, you see, the decision of the Nigerian police to withdraw, or not to withdraw, but to prohibit any local indigenous security groups and quasi-security outfits from following anybody or being present anywhere around Bollywood. We also increase people's attendance at the polling booth because they use it as intimidation sometimes. Somebody uses local security networks to intimidate people of this, get unnecessary harassment and embarrassment, and so that may lead us to about 45%. But having said that, no matter how percent you are able to get, my brother said something the other time. It's just an introduction to part of the problem. And it is, you ask a question, is there any justification for people to return Adeleke back to the seat? If I'm able to put it in summary. Now, what has he done to warrant is this thing, to put the confidence and bringing him back? The question you need to ask yourself is this. People of Osun believe Oyetola failed. Then, so they need somebody to take them to the new direction. The simple question is this. Where Oyetola failed? Where they think Oyetola failed then? Has Adeleke been able to plug in and correct the wrongs and make life better for them? He said it to the basics. That is left to people of Osun. We don't live there. We only journey there and listen to some of these things you have on social medias and the right-way medias like one we have now. But the question is also this. We are busy thinking that we are developing the urban area. Obasanjo did something in 1979, Operation Feed the Nation. Operation Feed the Nation opened network, investment opportunity, and opened windows to the local areas where you go to farm. You are encouraged to go. The only thing you can do as a civil servant outside the mainstream of what you are doing is farming. Everybody resorted back to going to farming, and we had your dollar dropped. When you are able to give people basics, the basic is food. If you give them food, there will not be any need for NLC to be asking for one unnecessary exorbitant money. NLC is using his pressure group to misdirect the economic situation of Nigeria.
You think so?
Yes.
But how about the people?
500,
I mean, it's open for negotiation. How about the welfare?
Let us get it right.
An average Nigerian worker that cannot feed.
If you are talking about average Nigerian worker
that doesn't have a standard life,
who is not in the mainstream of NLC, who is doing his local trade, who cannot sustain a small medium business.
What about civil servants?
Now,
what about public servants?
Civil servants will come, they will collect money at the end of the day. The question is, where is their performance index? Let me get this to you. Let us get it straight. Let us go and develop our farm. If we develop our farm, there will be reduction in food purchase.
Mr. Shahid, you will agree with me that not everyone can go into the farm.
The ones that will go and encourage them, take care of the security in the rural area.
And what about those that are working?
If they farm, if they farm in the rural area, they bring food to the community, there will be no flow of people, traffic to the urban area. People will go into open farm settlements. Government should encourage open farm settlement, encourage security within that farm settlement, encourage them, give them things that will improve their life there. There won't be need for everybody to come to farm. It is because you have a high number of farm, that is why you have people walking the streets, graduates walking the streets without jobs. That is why you have graduates walking the streets without jobs. But if you are a graduate, and we open all technical issues, we open all farms, we open all these things, you tell people on how to farm. You now look at the project. Operation Feed the Nation failed. We are failing because we refuse to go on that economic planning that survived that period, that lead to the reduction. People are now looking for white collar job. Everybody wants to sit down in the AC. Let me give you this example. Now, a wealthy man, okay, let's say an ordinary person left the village, come to the urban area, educated, he was able to get himself into the mainstream, and he was able to make so much money, either right or wrongly, I don't care. He now went back to the village. He will now buy hectares of land in the village. That is why he left to come and make money. He will now buy hectares of land in the village, acquire hectares of land in the village. He will now use some few part of it to do this or that, just to attach money, hold money somewhere. Kìnní kan Yorùbá will say àwọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ kìnní kan okolombo. You understand? That means there is opportunity in that village, in the rural area. You are taking the money of the urban area, you make the urban area back to the village, but it is not well used. It is for the few people that will just use that money to buy hectares of land. They say they want to do farming and they'll be doing farming. That farming they are coming to do now, why are they depriving the people in the urban area of that opportunity to do it? And bringing them to the village to come and walk the streets and be looking for money, doing Okada, crashing every year now and now. Let us go back to the Operation Feed the Nation plan. Revisit it, bring in agricultural equipment, and if you have food, Yoruba will say, "Ton joba ti ton ninu ise." It's a bush. You will see reduction in crime. People will not be looking for white collar job. Big varieties of food. Plant it. If you have most of these things, there will be reductions and there will not be traffic flow into the urban area. Go and look at the history of Osun State. Osun is an agrarian community. Where is that purpose now?
Let's look at the purpose of the three leading candidates as of now. Let me go on to your brother at this time. Now, all three of them, quite interestingly, for the first time you're seeing that, come from the same senatorial district, Osun West. What are they thinking about at this moment? In view of what he has just said, in view of the things that we have seen them demand of previous administrations, what makes it very interesting looking at all three of them? Would their areas be better for it?
Thank you. You see, what you can see from that is it's for politics, not for any other thing.
It's not far-fetched at all.
It's for politics.
Just purely politics.
Purely politics. Because we have competent people from other areas can also come up to rival with the sitting governor. Because other political parties think that, let's pick our candidates from that district so that we can whittle down the influence. Of course, it's purely politics. It's nothing.
So you're saying the internal politics of all those parties?
All these parties, because that is how the political parties.
So they all share the vote from that.
They don't think about people. They think about power, and they can go to any length to ensure that they get that power.
So you're saying that the people of the Osun West senatorial districts have power in their hands, but they have not maybe realized it yet, or they are not ready to use it? Because if, for example, they have listened to what your brother has said here, and they hold them to ransom on making sure that they benefit from whatever happens when they enter.
Let me shock you. We have passive, let me say, passive
individuals. Yes. The followers?
Not even followers. Those real people you call people of Osun State.
The masses.
The masses. We have passive masses who has no interest in politics. If you see anybody coming out to vote at all, it's as a result of whether they are one beneficiary, maybe they've benefited from one political persons or what have you. And
so you think people are not willingly going out?
Let me tell you, anybody that comes out today to vote today is the politician will mobilize them to come out.
Are you sure?
It's not
when we talk about politicians mobilizing now, because I know there was a time on this program we had this conversation. We talked about electoral education, and then sometimes we also mentioned mobilization.
Yes.
Now, who are those that are meant to mobilize electorates, if not some of these political leaders?
No, we have. You see, when we have where the system is running. The system is running the way it's supposed to run. We have an agency of government that saddled with that responsibility to mobilize voters, to mobilize masses, to do the next at an appropriate time. And that is NOA. How many times have you seen NOA in your studio to come and mobilize people? Have you seen them in the marketplaces? In fact, they should start. Go to their agency here in Ibadan. They will tell you that they have one personnel in local government. Can that one personnel in local government mobilize people across?
Even have fund to mobilize. Where is the
one is there, maybe what their subscription for a month is around 100,000, and what they.
No, we're not going to call this a deliberate act from the federal government, because when you have an agency like the NOA, we're supposed to be in charge of educating the people, electorate, mobilization, and here we are, they are not well funded.
The problem we have is that we try to put so many things under government.
But in instances like this, who is supposed to take the blame?
We have some agencies that are supposed to be purely independent, and then their funding should be first line charge from without any other things. NOA is one of them. INEC is one of them. Is INEC truly independent? Who is appointing the chairman and the director general of NOA? Deliberately, government will kill that agency or to suppress that agency from being functional. When they first introduced the old national anthem, you see at the speed by which NOA is moving from one school to the other to ensure that people grasp with this new national anthem. But thereafter, what all other policies of government that will be beneficial to masses that you see NOA moving around? One of it is this the election process that's supposed to be on the pages of newspaper, at the marketplaces, at the town hall meeting, and electronic media, every minute, every second. But no. Now you leave it to the politicians that see it as a business. Of course, They are marketers. You know, as a banker and some other business organization, you know they have a lot of marketers now. Understand? So the politicians have them as a marketer. They call them mobilizer. Are they mobilizing truly? They are mobilizing them to vote for them, and that will not go for nothing. And we are talking about maybe vote buying on the election date. No. Vote buying has started several times when you need them to mobilize people to come and vote. Before people can come out to vote, then they will request from you, what have you brought to them? So it shows that when we are talking about people coming out to vote, the big mobilizer there are the politicians. And what do you now expect? What do you now expect from the electorate? Definitely, I would rather say that the turnout today will be very low, because it depends on how much each political party can put out there to mobilize the electorate to come and vote. Then apart from that, you can see that the region, the district where these three people these three contenders come from, you can discover that is there any benefit they've gained from this, whether from party A, party B, or elsewhere? But for political reasons, the politicians have a way they play their game.
All right. Ms. Adilawo, let's go to
Ikire now. We have a public affairs analyst on standby for us. Mr. Sumbo Badejoko is also a friend of the house. He's in Ikire at the moment. Mr. Badejoko, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Business as yours.
All right. Just give us what's it like currently in Osun State? What's the atmosphere like? Yes.
The atmosphere is calm, and the INEC officials came early.
Okay.
I can confirm that as early as 7:30, they were already in most of the polling units visited this morning. Okay. And as at they started voting 8:30 in the units that are seen. The sound you are hearing are just bikes trying to move to their polling units where they can cast their votes.
Okay.
There is heavy security presence. We have an average of 4 police officers at each polling unit.
Okay.
And there are some military personnel at the perimeters, some strategic junctions. Not at the polling unit, but some area distance within the proximity of each of the polling units. But relatively, I think the people are kind of enthusiastic. I was amazed at the turnout. So that's before 8:20. There were queues already. People were like anxious for the voting to start.
Did it really commence at 8:30, like INEC said?
It's 8. Okay. The places are seen.
Okay.
It commenced exactly 8 because they came earlier. What would have delayed was if they came late. But they were there by 7:30, most of the units that I've seen. But I had a cousin of mine driving me around on me.
Okay.
So most of the places I seen, so just 7:30, they've already there. They set up their equipment and they even address the voters by 8.
Oh, there was an address before. Okay, now let's get the feeling. Is there any feeling of insecurity or apprehension in the air amongst the people?
As far as the QA is concerned, there is no such thing for now. Well, we hope it remains so till the end of the day. Apart from the earliest incident that happened during the course of the week. But yesterday, I've been here since yesterday afternoon. There was no sign or report of any violence anywhere throughout yesterday, and of course, as of this morning, so everywhere is calm.
All right, we've spoken about voter party in the studio this morning, and I'd like to know if people are encouraging others within the environs to come outside and vote, cast their votes do their due diligence and, of course, be responsible?
I said earlier that I anticipated voter apathy too. Many people will be scared away. But what I saw at those polling units, there's no such thing as apathy here. So, because I wouldn't know what is happening in other towns and cities. But here in Italy, people are actually, maybe because one of the major candidates is from here, I wouldn't know that that is the reason. And because there's also a very serving senator who is also supporting the sitting governor, so Ikiri is a little bit mobilized to participate in this election.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Badejoko. Just before we let you go and maybe bring you back before the end of the program, what's the demeanor of the people like? Are they excited? Do you think maybe in a few hours from now, the tension might rise? Hopefully not, but what's the demeanor of the people like?
The strategic positioning of the security, especially the military, I don't think there will be any form of tension. Because for those who would have, who maybe they want to start one, would have been dealt with, how law enforcement work if they really want to do it. So I don't foresee any form of tension. Everybody is calm. People are just minding their normal business. And most people are going to their respective polling booths. The movement is heavy. The place would have been deserted as in the roads if there is threats. But the road is busy. You can see the clear sound of motorbikes. That shows that there is actually huge anxiety and people are wanting to. But I think that will have another opinion because when I got here yesterday afternoon, I started some investigation, and what was I trying to investigate is to know the role or the influence money would have played, and I think it's heavy from both sides.
So are you saying a lot of people sold their votes? Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying, and I'm saying it categorically. It's not an insinuation or anything. There was heavy mobilization with the use of money, and that contributed largely to the turnout.
That contributed largely to the turnout. Is that what you said, Mr. Badejoko?
You said what?
Did you say that contributed largely to the turnout we are seeing this morning?
Yeah, largely responsible for the turnouts. They will say they are mobilizing them. As of yesterday, the figure I confirmed was 15,000 per voters. And that's huge compared when you say per person, now you have an average of 500 per polling unit, and you have 138 wards with an average of
maybe we would like you to share, let us know which political party is actually giving them such amount.
Both the Accord and the APC. Those are the two principal culprits. I've not seen any evidence pointing to ADC. Maybe theirs is not well pronounced, but Accord and APC are.
All right, Mr. Badejoko, we'll have to come back to you later on during the course of the program. And of course, we are sure by that time there will be more development as the election unfolds. Thank you so much for your contribution. We'll come back to you later in a few minutes. All right, Mr. Adelo, based on what Mr. Badejoko said, the mobilization fee in quotes.
But the amount is higher than the one you mentioned.
No, I didn't even mention it.
No, he did not mention, but now Mr. Badejoko is saying 15,000 mobilization fee. No,
yes, mobilization fee. That's why I said that this. Our government has left this mobilization to the politicians, and they will misuse it. It now comes to the highest bidder. You understand? It happens.
So are we saying that it's likely the mobilization fee increases as the election proceeds?
Let me say this. In Ekiti, 2022, in Ekiti, 2022, it was 5,000 Libosebe. 2026 is higher than that, ranging between 10,000 and 20,000.
Yes, we know that our naira has no value again anyway. But you can see that amount. And a particular party was crying wolf because it has no sufficient fund to do the biddings. You understand? When
it started but couldn't go higher. Was crying foul for insufficient fund. Not that there's no fund.
No,
insufficient fund to
compete with others.
Let me come.
And the same thing will come. And that's why I said it's a big business, it's a big industry. You understand? So election comes like this, many people make a lot of money. So irrespective of what happens,
it's 15,000 a lot of money. Let's go. Because I'm thinking about it, 15,000 naira
per day.
Mobilization fee.
Maybe just for transport. Maybe it's good for transport.
No. Let me say this. In 2023, INEC rolled out a particular form. They call it, I think, a financial expenses form. Part of items on that form is mobilization. You have to state how much you want to use for mobilization. That is. But they will not say for vote buying. And that is why I said there is problem.
So are you saying INEC is also aware of this?
I'm not saying INEC is aware. They have it on. In fact, I can share the.
But should the money come from the political parties?
To whom?
To the people.
It's their responsibility to. Now they've already shifted that responsibility to them to mobilize their money. So you know they say mobilizing their members. So there's agents for the mobilizers. You understand? And a lot of things like that. Mobilizers will take their fund. And then the people that mobilized, they will also, in one way or the other, and nobody will go out of their comfort room on the election day without being tipped.
Let me come to you at this point. Mr. Sumbo Badejoko told us that he cannot categorically tell us anything about the ADC. He has not seen them involved in this. But let's look at the backing of Najim Salam, who is representing the ADC in this one. He has the backing of Atiku Abubakar, Rauf Aregbesola, and some other factors right there. And this is a very crucial time for them ahead of 2027. So what exactly are they playing behind the scenes? Are they hoping that maybe something will happen and will fall to their advantage later on? Or are they scheming something different?
Thank you very much. I want to correct my brother on one thing, on the issue of mobilization. Mobilization in INEC context is movement of is for logistics of movements of their materials.
No, not the people. Not their materials. I'm coming. The political party.
Maybe can you let us know how it is?
Let me see. It's not INEC form. It's not INEC expenses. It's political party expenses. Okay. I can show you the form.
So which political parties?
Do you have a copy of the form, Mr. Adilo?
Of course, I'm sharing.
Maybe before we finish on the program, we can see what it looks like.
INEC will not budget FSC, but if they make provision for mobilizations of your agents that will come, the political party's agent that will come, it is not their responsibility to fund such.
No.
I'm coming, sir. So if you do your polling unit agent, your ward agent, you have to pay. Yes, you are allowed to mobilize them. If you don't mobilize them, it is your problem. It is the political party's problem. That is that on that. When we now talk of the mainstream mobilization, I will come to National Orientation Agency that you talk about. I can tell you that National Orientation Agency has failed Nigeria. I will say categorically. Failed Nigeria. They started during Goodluck Jonathan. Instead of National Orientation Agency to mobilize for the entire Nigeria, they are mobilizing for PDP then. Spending taxpayers' money to mobilize for PDP. Why don't they go back to the military area, use the template of MAMSA? MAMSA then. Something for mass mobilization. MAMSA covers every local government and villages in Nigeria then. MAMSA did wonderfully well. They're less concerned about one political party or the other, but they're mobilizing people to come out. You see them in this Nadeco vehicle, this Volkswagen vehicle and the rest. They'll be mobilizing, come out and talk in different language. That is what is called mobilization from government agents. They went to every radio station, they went to every thing, they are doing meeting the community people, and that was what led to mass turnout on Abiola and this thing, the election day. Yes. You know, Nigeria said that was the best election that everybody has ever, because there was adequate mobilization. Not the what is called mobilization now. That is that on that. Mr. Biden also said something which really confirmed what you are saying with being different. One, my brother here said something about mobilization in the political parties context. That will increase voters' traffic to the center. Secondly, Mr. Biden also confirmed the fact that there is adequate security system
at each polling
unit, and that led to a strong turnout of people within the area he currently covers. That means we're on the line with the analysis, and there's tendency that the 42-point-something% will increase to either 45 or 46 based on these mobilizations and security system. If we can continue like that, I think we will go.
All right, what about now we have to go to Osun State, where Governor Ademola Adeleke is exercising his voting right. So let's watch him. Let's travel from Ibadan to Osun State and see how it's happening over there. Pictures and videos rather from Osun State where the incumbent governor has gone to cast his votes and it's been interesting times. Really
Indeed interesting. I mean, apart from the governor casting his votes in Osun State, behind the scene here, we've been talking about the issue of INEC. Of course, when Mr. Adelowo talked about, there's been an issue between Mr. Adelowo and Mr. Sharafaddin talking about INEC also indulging political parties. And of course, here is the form EC 16E.
We've been able to clear that out, that of course INEC has not really been indulging political parties, but politicians would always want to have their way around. But when we talk about, Mr. Adelowo, the issue of vote buying and selling, now we've looked at it from the angle of political parties. And during the course of the beginning of this conversation, you mentioned something that politics is where a lot of people make their money. Now, a lot of politicians have spent a lot of money. Campaigns, preparation, and the like. They all want to get that position to get their money back. Now, is it not left for the people to say, this person has done well. We want the person back genuinely, or we don't want this person back, regardless of the money you're spending, regardless of the tip you're giving us. Why are Nigerians, or why have we not gotten to that point in our lives in Nigeria? I'm talking of Nigerians now, the electorate. Why have we not gotten to that point where we reject the little money? I would call it little money because it really might not even take you beyond that day to feed yourself, or most likely the following day. Why are we not rejecting it to say we want good governance and not just the stipend or the rice you're giving unto us?
You see, when you weaponize poverty, it goes to the psyche of everyone. In fact, in a society, we always have a larger percentage of weakling than the strong one. Then, where we have larger percentage of weakling, and then you weaponize poverty. So definitely, it will always be that what do you bring for us? Elsewhere, in a saner society, they always demand for good governance. In our own case here, we demand for palliatives. That, of course, that is why NSC could just boldly come out, they want to negotiate minimum wage. Minimum wage should not be the request, should not be the demand, but good governance.
I mean,
working
we're
system.
Talking about good governance.
Working system.
God knows how
Of course.
We've been talking about having a good working system in Nigeria. But it feels like a battle that has not
because the people.
Now, if we are finding it difficult to get the good governance we are requesting, is the little that should be requested not a good minimum wage for an average Nigerian worker to be able to afford a standard life?
Few years ago, the same demand came to the table of government. At least it was partly granted, and economy did not far better, and a lot of things did not change. Rather, our many cash only chasing few goods. You buy. When I was growing up, I thought 1 million naira or 100,000 then was a big money. Even if I don't have million in my account now, and you mention 1 million naira to me, I will say, 1 million naira. You see that within few days, that go to the supermarket, you understand. You understand? So the right call should not be minimum wage increase, but the right call should be good governance. And the right section of our society that's supposed to mobilize people, because the people are down. They can't think on their own. There are a set of civil society, NLC, and what have you, to mobilize people to demand for good governance. Because people cannot do that one on their own. If you go out now and begin to shout, to begin to mount pressure on government, before you know it, government will unleash terror on its citizens. And that is what has been the issue all this while. And people are being terrorized. They are so afraid to come out and demand for what is necessary.
Okay, let's shift on to something at this point. The INEC has told us PDP did not have a candidate in these elections. That's despite a Court of Appeal judgment that directed the inclusion of that candidate on the ballot. But then INEC said it appealed the judgment and filed a stay of execution. But there are reports indicating, and from what we've seen, that the PDP stakeholders have endorsed Adeleke, while Adeleke is not contesting under the PDP but under his Accord party. We're looking at the bigger picture here. PDP used to be so strong. Now, I'm using used to be for this party that stood so strong, that held Nigeria for several years. And here we are talking about them running under the carpet of Accord party. What are we seeing here? What exactly is happening in the PDP? Are there signs ahead of 2027 and beyond that PDP is collapsing?
We are not talking, in fact, we should not particular our discussion, our conversation on PDP. We should focus on the political parties. Because whatever happens in PDP happens in all other.
But this one is becoming one to a strong tower.
No. Let me say this. It's because we have APC as a ruling party at the center. That's why we don't understand that a lot is still happening. The only thing that keeping APC together is being at the center. If anything happens now, you understand. Then PDP, what kept them together for a while is because they have elected governors. Even they don't have president, they have elected governors who can keep them together. But immediately, all these elected governors left that political party. What happened? You can see the problem we have with our political party. I want to say that we don't have a political party. We only have political associations who always looking for power every 4 years. We have not developed to that extent by which we can say we have a political party. What is the political party is all about?
Let's go. Right now is on the line, Mr. Musa Oluwode. I hope I got that right. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes.
Everyone there.
Thank you very much. We are all doing great. How is it like in Osun State currently? The preparation, we also heard that election has commenced in Osun State. How has it been like for INEC so far?
Well, thank you very much for that question. It has been an issue exercise. As of now, yesterday we activated all our ranks. That means every registration area camps where we count all our men and material. We complete deployment to their polling units this morning for refresher training and all. To check around all their materials. So as early as 6:30 this morning, deployment has started, and as we speak, election has commenced in all our polling units. So as we speak, there has not been any complaint from anywhere. There are a few other things people are attending to. All our rapids are there on standby in case of any malfunctioning or any leak on the beavers. But as we speak, everything is going on fine.
What's the demeanor of the people from what you have called from all the centers that you've spoken with as of now?
myself this morning, I have been to about 2 or 3 polling units that are not far to each other. And the people are there. What we have observed this morning is that there is any movement of people to polling unit. We are seeing people, many people at various polling units, or majority of polling units are crowded with voters. So we are happy with that, and we hope that this turnout will continue to the end of the election today.
So we understand there are 30 local governments in Osun State, and we understand that there are some local governments that have been designated as hotspot areas, and that's the Oshogbo, Iwewole, Boripe, Obokun, Ilesha West, Ife Central, Ife North, Iwo, Eden North, Ifedayo, Ilesha East, Ishoko, and Irepodu. Now, looking at these 13 local government areas, I'm sure you've not been to the whole 13 local government areas this morning, but you must have read the report as the INEC PRO officer. Now, what's the report like in these local government areas? We've seen Governor Adelege has gone to cast his vote, and there's been no issue at his polling units. So far, what has it been like in these hotspot areas in Osun State?
Just like you have mentioned, on our own, as part of our planning, we identified 395 flash points where there's likelihood of violence or any form. But as we speak, we know the number of deployment of security agencies that are in Osun State presently. All those flash points, we identified those flash points for security agencies also to have adequate plan for those areas. And as we speak, the electoral officers, the presiding officers, SPOs, and all other ad hoc staff deployed to those areas. There's not been any report of violence or any report of hijack or anywhere whatsoever. As we speak, every area is still cool and calm, because we know this early preparation has afforded us the opportunity, even as well as the security agencies, to deploy their men to those areas, not those areas alone, but all areas, all polling units where elections is going to take place in Osun State. We have adequate deployment of security agencies. We have the men from the Nigerian Police Force, we have the men from the NSCDC, we have the men from the Immigration Service, Consular Services, and DSS and every other agencies. Everywhere is occupied. So we are optimistic that there won't be any cause for alarm.
All right. Of course, we are optimistic that there will be no cause for alarm. But let's look at the people in Osun State now coming out to vote. We've talked about, we've seen a decline in the percentage of voters, looking at it from 2014, even up till the presidential election in 2023. It's been a decline. What do you think? What have you envisaged for this year's election in Osun State? Do you think we're going to see the turnout? Is it going to be any better from what we've seen in years past?
Definitely, immediately after every election, as INEC, we come back to the drawing board. What has been our challenges? What has been the effect of this low turnout of voters? A lot of things contributed to low turnout, and people need to establish this as a fact. There are different peculiarities to each election, each state, and all that. But as far as Osun State is concerned, after the 2022 governorship election, we'll return back to the drawing board. What are the causes? What are the issues that we need to address? We discovered, one of the issues that we discovered is to have early and adequate voter education. And that was why we started earlier. In Osun State, 2 months before the commencement of the CVR, we have started engagement. 2 months, 2 solid months before the commencement of the CVR, we have started engagement, engaging with civil society organizations, the religious leaders, market women, and non-governmental organizations, and every other stakeholders. As far as the election process is concerned, we have started going to religious houses, churches, and mosques. We visited markets, we visited royal fathers, even before the commencement of the CVR. We commenced the CVR, we started the CVR